Maine rifle season, day 8.
Snowing.
It is snowing, it's spitting snow. Look at this.
Now Cocoa Puffs, he has to do the snow dance. He's actually good enough now, he doesn't need to. He just thinks about it and it actually happens.
He's the Wizard of Blizzard.
He is Wizard of Blizzard. He's tuned Dad up just a little bit.
Alright Dad, what are you getting out here?
I'll let you know.
Yeah, no worries, good luck.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I am gonna kind of just and up towards where we're talking and see what happens.
Sure.
Alright.
He'll be here at the end of the day.
Yes.
We'll see you later, buddy.
There's a lot of good woods here, though. A ton.
Well, maybe I'll get out here. Where are you?
All three
where
of
are you
us
gonna
jump
go?
in here if you
where
want.
are you gonna go, James? We could all get out right here.
Yeah, you can just pull right up on the side right there.
We're all getting out here. Well, I mean, all 3 of us. It's not like there's that many of us. He is out of here, though.
Let's keep the sled though. Yeah, he's out of here.
He's bye. Oh, never mind. He wanted to get away from the rig because he didn't.
3-4 minutes.
Hold on, he's gonna wash the culvert out even more. That's right there is where Dad pissed yesterday. You can see he uncovered the entire culvert. Snow's coming. Be almost bow hunting soon. With the old cigaroo. It's nice and light. I like carrying
Somebody's
this
camera's here. Did they want it?
Is that your camera, Dad? Oh! You got your stick, Gandalf? Yeah, whatever. I'm good. That's a nice walking stick you got there, Dad. It's a nice walking stick. Apparently, Dad's going to, yeah, he's got his staff. He's going to check on his flock. Is that your river crossing stick?
Yeah.
Is it bad enough to actually need a freaking stick? It wasn't when I went across.
A roar over there.
Oh, all right.
This one had nothing in it, but that one might have a little more water. Hey, if you cross the brook and you don't get soaking wet, it's great. Like, you never know.
Well, I know. I'm not judging your stick. Stick's a good idea. Every time you cross the river, you probably should have a stick.
And do it carefully and take your time, get it right, and then you can go right back to bouncing. It doesn't screw your day up.
Yeah, it doesn't screw up your day.
Yeah. It's because it's snowing and
That's how much snow dance it takes to get these little flakes. So Jimmy's really got to boogie down and give us a couple inches. Good luck, Dad. James.
Shoot him dead.
Good luck. I'll see you. Have fun. Enjoy your hunting. It's going by already. Look at it. Jimmy's. No, Jimmy, don't do it too much. I don't want 12 inches of snow tomorrow. He cracks me up, dude. Oh. Maine rifle season, day 8. And it's spitting snow. About time. Here we go.
Okay. As you've been seeing on most of your trail cameras and social media, everybody's showing their cameras, and you see especially younger bucks are pursuing does. You see all this more activity, and like the chase phase, zombie walking is going right now. And when it comes to still hunting and it's zombie time, that's the time you want to do it, because now the deer are on their feet. Today's cold, little bit of flurries, just perfect for them to be on their feet right now. And when they're moving, you got a real good chance of bumping into them. What I'll do is I'll just walk along, and you can almost like not grunt too much right now. The grunting will be like at a peak right now, where there's all kinds of, even if a buck is all alone and he's walking, he's grunting as he's walking. You'll hear it. If he's following a doe or just checking him out, he'll still be grunting. They grunt real soft, and they'll just keep going and going. You don't have to grunt real hard. And most of the time, if you're grunting super loud, local loudmouth here, if you're grunting real hard, they're going to hear you from a long ways away, and they'll be watching and paying attention. And they may even have time to hook you and smell you. So I grunt right, I tend to grunt real soft right now. I'll just grunt soft, and I'll walk like almost like a medium steady with a stop in all the key places. And I'll just keep moving along and grunting. Now, I'm wearing lots of orange. Do not go walking through the woods and winding up another hunter by grunting and getting him all excited because he hears you walking, he hears the grunting, he gets his gun up, he swears it's a buck, he wants to see a buck, and next thing you know, he's pointing his gun at you, right? So, like this part of it, you got to be careful. There's some places you do not want to do this, 100%. But someplace like where we are, where it's a lot bigger, I'm less likely to run into people, I'm more likely to run into deer. I want to go between feeding and bedding areas, security cover, near food, near bedding areas, and I'm just walking through, using the wind as best I can, and just looking and sneaking and peeking and grunting and walking, and whenever I'm making a little more extra noise, I might grunt a little bit more. But a lot of times that'll buy you enough time to get close enough to them. And if they're coming at you, don't ever call to them. If a deer's coming to you, do not call. If he's running away, it's definitely worth trying to stop him. If they're kind of minding their own business, if the doe comes through first, don't call. Don't alert her to you being there. I usually try and let the doe go right by. I just want her to get out of here so that when the buck comes, I get a chance. Sometimes the buck is right on her. Sometimes he's way back behind her, just walking along and grunting softly and coming along behind her. So I'm trying to make sure that, like, if she goes through 100 yards from me, I want to do my best to quick, quiet, get right up there as quick as I can and get on her trail. And if I can spook her off in the right direction a little bit and then he comes along right to me, it's perfect. Done that quite a few times, so keep that in mind. And also, I'm walking where there's the most deer sign and the most deer traffic, and especially buck sign. Right now, they're all interested in smell, so like your scrape lines, your mock scrapes, all that kind of stuff, where there's lots of scent. They're just like a dog. You let a male dog loose in your yard, he's going to run right over to the fire hydrant. He's going to check the tires. He's going to look at the bushes where something is peed. So like urine is a big deal to them, and they're checking it out right now. And anything that smells deer, they're checking it out. So if you're walking along where there's lots of those little scenting signposts of some kind, that's a good thing. Where some deer just ran through and there wasn't a buck with them, go over and stand on their trail where they came through and hang out for a little while. A buck might just happen to come along. You could be going either direction sometimes too. So this is the time to keep your chin up, keep your eyes up, and keep looking. And when they're all on their feet and moving, and you're going a little slower, you're not moving quite as much, you'll catch them first. You might hear them or see them, and then you got a chance. So good luck. This should be prime time right now for like still hunting. Like today is a really good day. Deer that are in northern areas where yarding is a big deal, they get a lot of deep snow. There'll actually be some like migration trails where there's lots of winter activity going in and out of where they would normally spend the winter. And because as soon as the weather starts getting really nasty, they'll come out of the mountains and come down into the valleys where they're going to hang out. And these are some of the places I want to check. Here's one here where you can see the mud and see it's wore right into the ground. See how that path is worn right in? And we got fresh tracks. See, there's tons of fresh tracks all over it. Oops. Note the direction that most of the tracks are going. And wherever you're likely to think the deer will be, whether they're feeding uphill and moving downhill to bed down, if that's where your security cover is low and the food is up, or if the security cover is high and they come down to eat, I pay attention to which way that's going and I try and work so that things are coming at me. That's always the best. Then they don't come up behind me. In areas where you're checking out trails, and especially where they're areas that pass from one place to another, I'm working those over a little bit. And I'm trying to catch those bigger ones that might be in this fairly thick, this is fairly thick spruce and stuff. He'd feel real comfortable in here. He'd take one jump and he's gone. So this is really good. This is a nice area where it's one of those, got to check it out, see. And there's so many fresh tracks, and there's a lot. So this is a good, looking good. This is just what we want. I'm going to work my way up towards the food a little bit, see what happens. It's been my experience that when you're in a lot of thick poles like this is, and it's all mossy and the walking is quiet, you have to go real slow. A deer's pupil is oval shaped, and it's in alignment with the ground all the time. So they're able to see not just straight like us, but a line. And our movements just stand right out. Anything flickering in those poles, they see it. So boy, you gotta be slow and easy in woods like this. When you get out in the open, you can go a little bit faster. That's where your eyes help you being a predator, right? But those prey eyes with a long flat pupil, it sees movement, it sees 200 and something degrees around each side of their head, and they don't even have to be looking at you, and they can see. So keep that in mind all the time. Places like this, boy, go easy. A lot of times what you'll see are legs. You'll see their legs flickering amongst the other, or you'll see their back, a flat line of some kind. So that's what you're looking for, something going this way, right? Yeah. Looks like this is going to break up a little bit, and I'm going to come out into some more open woods. I'll be curious to see where this trail leads. I haven't been on it, so this is going to be good. We'll see. Now, another thing that's very common this time of year with lots of deer activity is that you'll see a button buck or a doe fawn, or even a pair of them sometimes, running around without a parent, without the doe. And that's usually a good sign, of course, because mom might be getting chased by a buck, and they've been lost in this craziness of the buck pursuing mom and her running around, and they become separated. And these deer are really vulnerable to calls. Like, so you can call in the little button buck that's by himself. If you do your little bleat can, or you do a little small grunt, he'll come right over to you. I used to take the boys out, and whenever we saw that, I'd tell them, oh, call to it, it'll come right over. And of course, they've never been called to before because they're young deer. So you tip her can a little bit, and they just come right up to you. And it's a wonderful thing to call in a deer. And this is when the calling will work really well, especially as this phase of craziness starts in of the rut, because they've never experienced it before. Plus they're separated, so that means they need to call a lot. And deer vocalize a lot to each other during the summer and whatnot. So there's a lot of little small sounds that you'll hear. And if you listen real close when you see that young deer by itself, if you listen really hard, you might be able to hear them calling. They'll call sometimes for mom. I had one come up to me way up in Pittsburgh, New Hampshire, a million years ago. This little button buck walked right up to me, and I was all in snow camo, so he was really close, and I thought about touching him with my hand, but I took my barrel and I just poked him in the hindquarters with my barrel. Oh, that little deer come unleashed. He kicked at me with his hind leg, and he moved my pant leg. He missed my shin bone, but he kicked my pant leg. So it goes to show how, like, don't get them too close, but also too, they're real vulnerable to calls right now. Yeah, definitely. And it's something really great to do, and it gives you confidence. You call in a few deer, you'll feel better about calling in another one. Most of the time when you're calling, you're playing to an empty house. There's no deer around to hear you. But when they are, it could very well work. And of course, it's like anything. If you hunt spruce all the time, you're going to shoot them in the spruce, right? The more you do things, if you only go out in the middle of the day, you're going to shoot your deer in the middle of the day, right? So, like, the more you do things and the more you practice at it and you feel good about it, the more you'll have better luck at it. You know, don't be afraid to try everything. And we'll continue. Here's a little tip about walking through swamps. Wherever there's lots of grass or the trees are really short, especially short trees, that means there's more water, more mush. Wherever there's hardwoods, like the popples, the bigger spruce, and even here, those are the hard ground. So when you're in a swamp, what I do is I carefully cross where there's swale grass, alders and stuff, looking for the water, work my way through it, and then get back into another island of heavier, bigger trees where the ground is more firm. If a deer is going to lay down, it doesn't want to be wet, so it'll lay in those drier areas, and you're more likely to run into game trails, better walking, and the animals wherever those bigger clumps of trees are in a swamp. Now see inside that island of big trees, this is what I was talking about. Now, as I move on, I can tell there's still hard ground up ahead with them big spruces. However, there's no more big trees beyond that one. So that means it's going to end right about where that is. If I look over this way a little bit, you can see those big, huge pop of trees in the distance. That'll be a better direction to be able to continue. And odds are good, if there's a game trail here going down this, it'll turn and go that way, away from that wetter area. You can use the trees up ahead to help you get where you want to go and figure out where the best place to walk is.
Right off the bat, we run into a good horn hooking, so that's good. Feels like a good day. It's snowing, you know. Do 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 do. It's snowing, be happy. Need all you washing snow flyers guys to do the snow dance, and women. Rebecca, gotta do the snow dance. We don't want foot yet though. Wait till after hunting season, but you know, a couple inches, 3 inches, so we can try it. You know, dusting now and then, that'll work. See y'all later.
Woodsmanship skills are something you develop over time, and the more you're in the woods, the more you become familiar with things. When I would walk the boys through the woods, and they were little, and they would say, well, which way now, Dad? And I would say, well, read the trees up ahead. Pick out where the best walking is going to be by those trees. If you have to navigate at night, you can look up and see the canopy, and you can help tell what's coming up as you work your way through it. Now, it doesn't tell you everything. If there's a bunch of blowdowns or something you need to go around, it's not going to tell you some of that stuff. But by reading the trees up ahead and learning to do that and noticing them in the distance and what could be, and imagining what could be around them. Hardwood trees do not grow in super wet areas. So when it's real wet, there's no hardwood trees. So the best walking at night will be around the hardwood trees. It will be the hardest ground. Keep those kind of things in mind as you develop your woodsmanship skills. Reading the woods is really what it's all about. It's so handy to be able to do that, and there's so few people that teach it. I've moved ahead a short ways, and way out in front of me out there, you can see there's a whole bunch of hardwood trees, so I can tell there's a section of hardwoods coming up. And when I swing out to this side, and I look out that direction, way out there, same thing. So this swamp is going to kind of end, and it's going to dry up and go to hardwoods. Straight out in here, I don't see any hardwoods at all behind this big wall of spruce right here. And I'm pretty sure there's a cut coming up. See, you can tell what's coming before you get to it by looking up and reading those trees up ahead. It's a great way. Sometimes you'll see a slot and it'll be a skidder trail up there. And you can say, oh, there's a skidder trail up ahead. I would say that to the boys when they were little. See, there's a skidder trail up there. See the cut in the trees? There's a slot right there. And they were like, oh, yeah. And we could get on that trail, and then the walking would be good. Right? These little small moves and things you learn over time. In all the years that I've been hunting, and especially tracking, I've learned a lot about how does react when a buck is chasing them and some of their habits. Usually when a buck suddenly comes onto a doe and she hears him come in, she sees him or whatever, and she's not interested or whatever the case may be. Usually what they'll do is the first thing is they'll take off and run pretty good speed. They need a little bit of open to do that, so they'll just take off and run pretty hard. especially if they're really convinced they don't like him. You know, it's one thing to be in a field and just do a little circle and hopefully he'll back off, but if he doesn't, he just keeps coming. They'll blast off and they'll run down like a skid trail or someplace where the running is good. They'll get some good speed and then they'll dive right into something that's thick. They get in that thick area and they'll smash and crash through it and start a little bit of a circle and stop to see if he keeps coming. If he continues and she can hear him coming and she says, oh, here we go, she'll run through medium stuff for just a short ways and then bust right out in the open and go back to running real hard again. And she'll really pour it on pretty good. Then do an all of a sudden quick right or left and dive back into some more garbage. If you know the landscape in the area you're in, you can use some of that information to help you predict where they're going to go. Most of the time, she may run straight for a pretty good distance and then she'll start a hook either right or left from wherever it was that they started. If she runs for a short ways, dives into the brush a couple times, puts on a couple of speed runs and doesn't get rid of him, then she'll start a circle. She'll start going back over her own track, hoping that gets rid of him. Also too, if she can separate it from her fawns, it gives her a chance to hook back up with them again and be back in their area and not leave them completely. Then if he continues and she really doesn't like him, and especially if she picks up her fawns and they start going with her, now she's really going to run. And she'll run real good and hard. And she'll pick some big, huge open area and just right up through a big hardwoods or something and go way up to usually an island of some kind. We talk about this in the master class all the time, the island effect, where it's a rock pile, a change in the trees, a change in the terrain, something where she can go up to it and go around it and now watch and see if he's coming again. And something she can see him coming from a long ways away, and now she can turn on and stay ahead of him because she knows he's definitely coming, he's way back there, and it gives her a chance to keep that space that she wants from him. Usually about the farthest they'll go is about a mile, and then they'll turn around and head for home. They generally will, a lot of times if they run a long ways, will go out a ways, do a big good sized hook, or even around the whole hillside, then come back onto her own track or come back near her tracks and cross over her own tracks and go back to an area where she feels, number one, that she won't run into people. She feels safe moving during the daylight hours without getting caught. And also too, she feels like security coverage. She feels like she's able to move and not get into trouble, but it's a good enough place to maybe rub him off, get him onto some other deer. Maybe he'll lose her track in some amongst all of her own tracks. So keep those things in mind as you're following them. There's been quite a few times where they were going along the top of a ridge and she got out there and did a donut and then she came right back on her own tracks. And now I'm coming along tracking them and I let her go by and the buck comes and boom, and I probably shot 4 or 5 deer that way. So, you know, keep that in mind. They could very well, when there's like a choo-choo train of deer and they're all following each other and there's some rutting activity and there's like this line of several deer all moving and going together, especially if they're at a fairly high speed, you know, hunt slow and stay on top of tracks all the time and pay attention because they could very well come running right back at you or by you again. They may crisscross in one area, like a funnel where she likes to cross and it's where she lives and she's used to it. She'll just keep doing that, and if you want to hang out, that'll be the place to do it. And you can hunt a little bit slower. Sometimes you can't catch them, and sometimes they get in a nasty swamp and circle and circle and circle, and there's not much you can do about it but work the outside edges where you have shooting lanes and hope for the best. When the tracks really get crazy and they're 2 days old and there's billions of them, it's going to be very difficult. So you can focus on where the most amount of sign is and the best shooting lanes to be able to cover, you know, the best size area. Basically, a lot of what you do, like I just walk up to them and shoot them. The boys and I, whether we're tracking or we're still hunting, we just walk up to them and shoot them. I keep that frame of mind is they'll wait for me, they want me to shoot them, and I'll get them. And it'll work out. And I just keep that frame of mind and the feelings that would go with that all the time ready to go. And I say, he'll wait. And that buck yesterday, he waited. I mean, he let me walk right up to him at full steam just about and stood right there. And I wish I'd have got him better on camera. I just got his tail running off there a little bit. But You know, that's the way it goes. But I have plenty of time to shoot him. He was just standing there staring at me. So, like, if you don't think about it as something hard, think about it as easy. It comes frequently, and I can do it. And keep those frames of mind in all the time, because the evidence will show you otherwise, and pretty quick you won't go out hunting. You won't think you can get anything, and in 5 minutes it can all be different. Little scrape there. Pretty nice little trail here. So we're going to check that out. A lot of the sign that deer lay down is oftentimes right in the middle of a trail someplace real obvious, so that everything that comes through those woods will be able to see it. It's like a sign, right? You put it where everybody's going to see it. As you do your still hunting and your still hunting skills develop, and you become better at having game eyes, right, where you can look through into the spaces beyond the brush and look into those spaces and spot game. As that gets better, you can go into a little bit tighter woods and still be okay, but like there's this distance from you that the deer will have to be in order for you to spot them and them to not spot you. When you're in woods that are real tight and small, oh, it's hard, because they're really good, and between their ears and eyes they get you. So if you find yourself, you're new at it or something, stick to the more open woods where you can see a little bit farther, and the deer will be a little bit farther away from you and less likely to get you. Go a little slower in a little more open woods. Whenever you're going around a corner, whenever you're coming over a hill, nice and easy, and you'll have your best chance. As you get better at it and you start feeling the woods out a little bit more, and you're searching it a little more with your feelings, and you're saying, I feel like there's a deer up on this hillside right in here someplace, and you follow it through. When you start getting close, ease up a little bit, next thing you know, boom, they're standing there. You'll develop this over time and get better and better at it, and you'll be able to spot the grouse on the ground before he flies, and then you'll be able to shoot him. These things will happen to you as you go. You'll see the squirrel running down the log, and you'll pick it right out. You know, you'll develop that sixth sense, and you'll also develop your regular senses, and you'll get better at it. When you first get out of the rig in the morning, you're not going to be as good as after you've been at it for about an hour. And then for the first 3 or 4 hours, you'll be really good, and by the end of the day, you'll be a little more laxy-daisy. You'll go a little bit faster. So you'll have to watch yourself as you hunt and give yourself advice as you go along and what works for you. And you'll figure out that magic distance where you can see deer and they don't see you. And then over time, you'll be able to develop that a little bit better so that you can be in tighter woods, which is usually where they are, and be able to get fairly close to them in tight places. It takes a while to get the hang of the rhythm of that, but you'll be able to do it eventually. It's almost like a jet. The jet takes off from the carrier. It has X amount of fuel. It can only go so far. Same thing with your walking. You have so much fuel, you can only go so far. You also are on a time, right? The time of the day is clicking away, those minutes. So as you go out there, you can only expend and go so far. Your radar will only be able to pick up certain things. So you're matching your speed to your best radar and looking, trying to make sure that you're not walking by things, you're not missing things. If you start missing them and all the deer are just flags and they run off, you got to slow down. You're going too fast. So slow up just a little bit, and you'll start developing the right speed so that you can turn over the most dirt, right? Like somebody gold mining. The guy who runs the most dirt could win, provided he does it efficiently. If he doesn't run it efficiently, he won't beat the guy using the little stuff. So keep that in mind too, where you have to run the right amount of dirt for you, that you're able to see and be able to do things about it and adjust your speed accordingly. It'll take a while to figure that stuff out and to get fairly decent at it, but you will. Just keep practicing.
Stepped over this log right here. So man, that looks like a potato laying in the grass over there, but it looks deery, not moosey. So let's see what we got. Oh, it is a moose deer horn. Cool. Right there. I'll lay my gun down. Chewed, but holy crap, look, there's the other one. That's cool. They're kind of old, but hey, there it is right there. Match that. Kind of cool. Second time in my life I ever did that. Found a set in Ontario, but not up here. They're pretty chewed, but guess I'll have to lug those out. That puts me up 2 more points. Might have to do some rattling. I haven't found a deer horn in a long time in the woods. Ain't no question, this is match set. I'm freaking 4 feet apart. So they do fall off right close to each other sometimes. Sometimes they're not there. You can look and look and look and you never find us the next one. Sometimes they're right there. So that's cool. Well, we'll figure out how I'm going to carry those. Happy hunting. See y'all later.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button if you like this video. Subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one. We'll see you tomorrow.